Recording. Go.
Okay, so can I tell the vision?
Yeah.
What's the vision?
So I am having a vision in tea leaves right now.
Wait, pause.
Okay.
Unpause. Now you can continue.
Okay, so the vision
Uh-huh.
is about having relations. So mind you, relations
Mm-hmm.
as signatures. So we can implement modules and have contracts with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest can still be a namespace on a file, right? That doesn't matter. But the interface is essentially the stable signature between two implementers of it. And then you can have more or less what you would have with like XML, OCaml, etc. Because we already have a relation, right? A relation would be just a module, a signature of a module would just be a relation of atoms with, let me think here. Yeah, let's do a draft, right? So how can you write some module syntax, Marinho? Like, otherwise I can come up with
Well, we're
something.
gonna use the prologue one.
Module syntax.
Well, not the module. Just go the names, the importing first.
Okay, so something like
Import.
import, and then we have to say. Oh, I kind of think it would be a good idea if we could choose the alias from outside of the module, or rather, the name that we're importing as. So something like, I don't know, math, and we say the lib/math.karuta or whatever, right?
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was the initial vision, Magetta. We would implement these constructs today.
So let me think.
And again, I understand that modules like Harper modules are great.
No, no,
It is
no, but
just that I
wait.
don't know how to do them.
Well, they might be even easier than it seems. But here's a question: like, are we focusing on? So, are you guys going to concatenate the files? Is
Yeah,
that it?
yeah.
Mm, yeah, kinda, but also not. I'd rather not because um, if you just concatenate the files like C style, you don't have proper namespacing, which is not great actually.
Like, how can we implement some easy modules that don't suck, right? That's what I'm trying to understand. So,
But the
we
definition
don't
of
need
don't
to go
suck.
full blown.
Yeah, but
We
if the
don't need to go full
definition
blown.
of don't suck is ML modules, I have no idea.
Like, here's what I'm saying. We already have a structure. Like, what we need is to tell that there is a reference for this relation that is defined somewhere, right? So we need a like catalog that the linker more or less can tell and expand that code in place. That should be easy enough for us to do, no?
Mm, actually, that's harder than what I'm thinking of. What I'm thinking of is something kind of like basically right now we can only compile single files, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of making the compiler when it sees an import like this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what it should do is it should load, parse, and compile this file, but it can't just do normal compilation. It needs to do a couple things. First off, it needs to ignore the query, right? Because we're importing this as a library. So if there's a query in there, we don't
Uh-huh.
care about it.
Uh-huh.
And secondly, if we want to have actual namespaces, we need to rename the symbols
Yeah.
defined in that file to add a prefix, basically.
Yeah.
So you would load. So you would do multiple. Okay, so that's more interesting. So you would do multiple compiler passes, right? Compiling each file, and
Probably recursive
incrementally
because the imports can have imports.
they can have imports. Makes sense. And each of them would have a prefix under their name that you well, if we can do an alias or not, that's an afterthought, right? But
Mm-hmm.
and then we are able to call them, but fully qualified, right?
Yes,
So
and
we, as we call.
let me elaborate why we want this feature now. Because this will allow you to go insanely crazy and make libraries for Karuta.
That would that would be very cool. I would make an implementation of libpq.
Well, you are
Uh,
limited because we don't have syscalls, but
well, oof, that's sad.
you can make like a man. We'll go to lists.karuta, Marinho. We can already make the lists like a library for the
Oh wait, wait,
standard
wait, wait.
language.
We can kind of do syscalls because we are on OCaml and you guys are interpreting it, right?
No, yes, but
Yes, we
yeah,
interpret the bytecode after
yeah.
we
No, we
compile
can
to
add
it.
it. That's fine. I'm just telling you that there is no currently. It's a pure language. The only side effect is the query. It doesn't. It can't
Fantastic.
do anything else.
Actually, there's a second side to my idea. Basically, I want to be able to name the exports here, like
Oh,
explicitly,
like LFA. Okay.
because otherwise we're just going to export
Yeah,
everything, and
including
there
Mhm.
the
may
auxiliary
be,
Uh,
functions that we don't care.
one
yeah.
may be one may improving on top of Marinho's idea. Would it be too hard for on the parser to separate? Like, do you agree that you can treat either the file as a single module, so you can prefix everything on
Yeah.
there,
Yes.
or make a submodule inside of the file and then you prefix things in that file?
Ooh.
That doesn't
Okay. Yeah.
sound hard because you just add another prefix on the path, right?
Yeah, that doesn't sound insanely hard actually. Like we're gonna be allowing a module to. We're gonna do better than LFA. More than one module per file.
Yeah, because then you can add like one module and then inside of that file, which is considered a module, another module, right?
So something like module, and then we put a list here, and then we can just put the
Yeah, write code normally, right?
something like, I don't know, let's say,
Yeah, there needs to be an argument there of the name of the module money.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like
oh yeah,
list
we need the, I don't know,
in
helper.
Atom. Yep, that works.
And then you do something like cons, and we say A, B, uh,
Yeah, we can have.
A,
So
B,
okay, this looks cool. Now let's see.
and then outside of here, we can do like helper, well, not here, in the body of a predicate, right? We could do something like cons, not cons, helper, cons,
Yes,
and then do
exactly that.
whatever.
Yeah, but how
Yes,
would that work from a third file, like a third module? Would we
it would be
do list,
lists,
column,
Depends
helper,
if
helper.
column?
Yep.
depends if we export the helper or not, right?
Oh yes, that's actually true. We would have to export the. Okay, so that's a
Mhm.
little different in OCaml because in OCaml you don't have to do that.
Well, in Okami you don't have to, but you can optionally hide things if you omit them on their signature.
Yeah, but that's the default behavior. The default is that you can, and then you can go to lengths to hide it. We can also do the
So
opposite.
now incrementally adding a new question. So would it be hard to add a another structure that is just a relation with atoms, linking atom to atom that is storing a signature of this guy? Like signature helper and then cons, three arguments and their type. Although our types are
Ooh. Okay,
Yeah, we
that
don't have types
introduces
yet.
our
exactly.
types
That
are
introduces a new requirement, which
oh
is
types. It could be the arity. That doesn't matter. Just that would be good enough. I think.
yeah, that we
Like
definitely could do.
cons three. Yeah, that if we can do all of these already, I think it
Yeah,
would be a
no,
fairly robust type
yeah,
system
no, we
already.
can already handle like the arity of a predicate is part of its name at the OCaml level.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not a fan of making the file a
a module.
module by default though.
That's
Why?
understandable. Well, because that gives you less control because now you're gonna be spawning modules unintentionally because you are obligated to create files.
Yes, basically. And files are not modules necessarily. Like
Yeah,
they're just
so
physical separations on the disk.
yeah, Magetta complains about this since the day I know him in Okemo.
Like I man, Haskell does that. So
Yeah,
like
Haskell also does that.
why?
Well, I think it's because they were
OCaml
sleeping on the
does it.
spot there. Rust also does that, for example.
SML doesn't, and I find that fascinating.
Sleeping on the spot. Okay, so I have a following question. Are we gonna allow
Okay.
you to like have the signature of the module mandatorily like close to the module's implementation, or we're gonna have a .karuta car_rti file?
Another file.
Yeah,
Uh,
just for the signature.
Whatever is easier. I don't mind where it is.
No, definitely not having the separate file is easier. So, um, Marinho, could you try like I don't know, make some
By the
syntax for
way,
this signature thing?
the export, it could go in the signature.
Well, the export in this case would be the signature
Yes,
of this.
because if you just don't want to expose, it's not there, right? So
No, 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 no. But Marinho, you want to make the file a module, right? You're still not convinced.
I mean, we could just not make the file a module and force people to indent everything. That's an option.
there could be two there could be another syntax for like defining one for all the scope, right? You don't need to indent.
Ah, okay. So you have another piece of syntax to like make the current file a module.
Yeah, like the general scope of the file, right? It's a single module, like something like that. You would still have that option. That's what I mean.
Uh, hmm.
And then on the parser, you just add everything to that structure, right? That's the only difference.
Okay, so how difficult would that be?
Yeah, no. We are definitely making it harder, which is okay. But it's gonna be
I
way
mean,
more useful.
it's not by a lot, and I think it adds a lot of leverage, right?
Yeah,
Because then we can actually spin stuff, as you said. I'll be right back, by the way. I'm just
yeah,
drying my hair.
sure. Manu, I think we should start by. Okay, let's make the
Um,
syntax for the let's make the syntax for the signature first. So how do you envision that? First question, does that need to be as an argument for module, or can that the signature can be separate and you pass that quote unquote as an argument? What do you think?
uh, I suppose it would be okay. The problem then is that if we want the signature to be separate, um, we don't have signature values in the language, right?
No, but we're gonna have to
Um,
introduce them as we introduce the this
I
built-in
mean at no. I mean at the runtime level, Lemos.
runtime level. No,
Yeah,
well, we're gonna have to introduce that as well.
we don't necessarily.
Hmm. But I think we must because the reason that I get the one signature is for us to try in the future to go full blown ML modules, no?
But ML modules also don't have signatures at runtime.
You're right actually. You're right. I think for starters we could just make this a third argument. Or
Signatures are for type checking, by the way.
we don't have type checking here.
Yes, hence we don't need them now. But it would be nice if we did, you see?
Yeah, so my proposal is the following. Between the helper and the cons implementation, Marinho, we have another open close brackets that we're going to have some syntax describing the arity of the predicates that we are about to define in the third argument. You see?
So basically, whatever we would normally put in the export list here goes here.
Um, sort of. Because there are two levels that going on now. The export on the top is the export for the outside of the module, of the helper
Yes,
module.
yes.
The helper module has completely like a completely clean namespacing within its definition. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah, and then we would have to do something like
Cons/3, comma.
I don't like cons/3 actually.
No, I don't know what I like. I'm just proposing the first thing that came to my mind.
I think it would be nicer to do something like cons 3.
Um,
Because this reuses like syntax and machinery that we already have, right?
well, I agree to that extent, but I also think we are introducing inconsistency for the language in the language syntax.
Why?
Because the brackets they have specific semantics for predicates, right? Now they have a special case
This is
that
not a predicate.
exactly, but it looks like one. It's like the same
No,
problem
it
with the
doesn't.
duck.
This is a functor. Like we
Well,
already
my
have
bad,
these
my bad.
demos. You can
But yeah,
totally
predicates are
you
made
can.
of functors, so that's kind of.
I mean,
Uh,
we already can do these lemos, and this means the same thing. It's a
okay,
functor with the label cons, and it has one argument,
okay,
right?
man. Let's move these brainstorm from line 9 up to a separate file, module.karuta, because I don't want to break the current examples. Modules.karuta. And you paste it in here. Okay, so now I have a couple of questions. So modules will not be a module by default. That's what Magenta wants, right?
Files, you mean?
Modules not be modules by default.
Yeah,
What the heck,
it's
Jens?
because the name of the file is modules.
Right. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, okay, but I see the confusion. Yeah, a file is not going to be a module by default. So you can define inside a file a module. How do you export this module for everybody else that is going to import this file, right? Or we're not going to go to the level of files anymore, actually. We're going to
Mm,
just import modules
Oh,
everywhere.
if you would need something like a table with all the atoms, right? No.
We're going to
we
have to
already
have
have
that
that
anyway.
though.
Yeah, and we already have that to
Ah,
some
so
extent.
so then
The problem is, okay, let's say for a moment that a file is not a module.
Yeah.
Then what happens if you try to do import? Let's say you want to name it, I don't know. I'm just gonna say X because it doesn't matter. What do we put here?
Yeah, the only option that I can see outside of handling the files
Oops.
is for us to like we have a place that you can put files that the compiler keeps looking at, and then all the modules from that particular directory are already imported during the compilation of your program. But
so
that kind of sucks.
one question though, like is it possible for you to load a file, like read the files procedurally in an order, right? So you would have to order in a build system, let's say, the files you want. We can do that. That's not that complicated. And then it just goes file by file, loading into memory, all the structures and everything, compiles, creates the objects, right? Allocates all of them,
Hmm.
prefixes, all the stuff, and then it just passes that same state to the next step. Can you do that?
Oh, okay. So Marinho, what Baguette is proposing is for us to handle the files on a previous compilation step. And then we here when we read the programs, we only deal with modules. We don't deal with files anymore.
Yeah, because the compiler then would, like, for example,
That just passes the buck down to the compiler entry point, no? Because now, okay, you're going to compile, ideally you want to compile a module, right? But you don't handle files, you handle modules. And you have files.
Yeah, but then you pass the files to
uh,
the compiler, and the compiler translates them to translation units, which are just modules, not files
so
anymore.
if you're trying to target a file, right? So one is a build system versus a simple compiler, right? So a compiler would just compile the file, right? And execute it, I suppose, if you run it, the bytecode.
Yeah, no, but if we could make files modules, then the compiler can make the translation units just modules because every file is at least one module. The problem is that we want to make a distinction that files are not modules. So now we need to treat special cases.
I mean, there's nothing that it's preventing you from passing all the files to the compiler as well, right? There's arguments for it.
Uh,
No, but let's say that we say that. So Karuta, the Karuta space compile space, and then I put the list of files like GCC, for example. What will this is the first step translate them to?
the problem with doing that is that it causes a problem that I was trying to avoid, which is now you don't have namespacing anymore.
Well, that's also true. But I'm actually curious. Let's say that like outside of this import, Marinho, make a predicate. I don't know. Put a predicate in there. Where this guy lives, right? Because he doesn't have a home anymore because a file is on a module. So the helper, the cons in the helper has a home in the helper module. But how do we call the cons on line 9?
Oh, okay, so that should be a call, not a definition, you're saying.
Well, that is one option. We can just allow you to make definitions in modules. That's a
No, no,
limitation.
wait. I was trying to understand what you said. Like, what did you mean
I
with
mean like
the...
that. Like, let's say that we have the modules.karuta, and let's say that I have another file called program.karuta. I want
Okay.
program.karuta to use the things from modules.karuta. The cons inside of in line 4, I can just do helper column cons. Right? So the cons has a place that I can call him from. But the
Yes.
cons on line 9 and on line 11, how do I call them? Because modules.karuta is not a module by itself. So how do I
No,
call it?
that was... Yes, that was my point. Like, you would still... It's not exported in a module, so you can't access it, right? If it's just like that, then you are not considering the file as a module by default.
Okay, so all the definitions that are inside files but not inside modules, they're useless.
If you're not exporting them in a signature, yes.
But if you want to export them in a signature, then the file must be a module. Otherwise, you wouldn't put the definition in the file in the top level, right?
I mean, it's not that the file necessarily needs to be... So, okay, let's backtrack, right? So you can add definitions in a file without declaring a module. That
How do
should be,
you
in
access
theory...
them?
You don't. So the
Oh,
file is useless.
okay,
So
that
if you want
answers my
to
question.
export... So if you would want to export and access a function, you would need to make a module, which can coincidentally have the same name as the file. And then you access the function provided inside of this file through the module interface.
Okay, so
But then you don't have namespacing anymore.
not necessarily, right, Marinho? Because for example, let's say,
One
yeah, let's
question,
say,
what do you mean by namespacing, Marinho?
yeah, go make an
Like,
example, Marinho.
okay, I want to avoid, ideally I want to be able to avoid name collisions, right? So suppose
Mm-hmm.
for a second that let's just try to follow your suggestion, okay? This is modules, because that's the file name.
Yeah.
Um, First of all, you're naming the module inside of the module itself, which is weird. And every language does it for some reason, but it's weird. But let's not think about that for a second. Suppose I want to import something else with the same label here in a different module. Um,
Something you want to import something else with the same label modules. Is that it?
No, the same label cons.
no, the
Cons.
same name,
Okay.
no, the same, well, the same.
Can you
Okay, if
put
a
another name?
module,
It's just confusing.
Yeah.
okay,
Modules.
Yeah.
let's put another name then. This is, let's call it.
Yeah, helper is fine.
ABC. Just put
ABC.
ABC, man.
Let's call
Yeah.
this ABC, and let's say there's another file.
Hmm.
Oops. Let's just put a comment here, just so we know this is a separator. This is another file, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so the idea is, okay, I want to be able to do imports, ABC, whatever, right?
What it would be the X in that case?
This would be like the local name of this module.
Oh, I see. So an alias. Okay.
Actually, this kind of works.
Wait,
So
what's gonna be the? Can you explain again? People were talking to me.
Actually, I have a question. What's the point of this?
The name of the module? I don't follow the
Because
question.
Magetta wants to say, okay, a module and a file are not the same thing, right?
Yeah, he
Basically,
wants to be able to define multiple modules in the same file. That's his vision.
you can have multiple modules in the same module,
Yeah,
like
you
they
can
can be
have a
nested.
file with
yes,
collections, and
but
inside the
here's
collections you
okay.
have the lists module and the set
Let me
module.
just be let me just be pedantic for a second. I think Marinho didn't get my complaint right when I say file different than module. Uh, OCaml, Haskell, and etc. They define a when you define a file, which is an artifact in your computer that
You're
is irrelevant
conflating
for your
that with the
program.
module abstraction. That's the problem.
They abstract that as a module by definition.
Yeah.
So there is an association that is one to one with a module and a file. And when you do that, for you to get a signature of that module, you need to define that as a file. That's why, like in OCaml, you define them as files, right? The MLI
Mhm.
signature files. But if you define them as simply files, that is, they are artifacts of the build system. So they are not relevant for your logical unit, the program. Then it makes sense to not have signature files because you just don't have you have modules just on the logical level. You see? So that is the distinction. Now, would I be willing if it makes things easier? Would I be willing to ignore that? Absolutely. I just think it's unfortunate, but I'm fine with that. Not being ideological with that
Yeah.
idea.
But I think we should make brainstorm a little bit more. So Marinho, what is your question? Why do we need the ABC? Is it clear now why we need the ABC on line 1?
Because you don't want to handle files at this level, basically.
Yeah. But that causes a separate problem.
I want you to forget files exist. That's the
Exactly.
point.
Well, that's impossible. Someone needs to know them. But
Yes, but my
it
point
seems
is
to me,
exist. Forget
We
that
can
they
do what
exist
we
at a
can do what
logical
Scheme
level.
does. We can do what Scheme does actually.
I have no idea what scheme does. I was thinking more like a
Uh,
GCC, but go on.
GCC, but GCC, you're talking about C specifically, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
uh, that's
I'm
what we're
talking
trying to
like
avoid,
you
Lemos.
pass the files only to the compiler, and the compiler translates that to modules. And in your
That
program, you don't handle files at all. You just handle modules.
GCC doesn't have modules though.
No, it doesn't. But you need to put the file paths only in my analogy, only on talking to the compiler. So Karuta space compiler
Oh, so
space.
you want to list all the files to
Exactly.
Karuta.
And then the Karuta compiler does a pre-processing step on this phase that gets the modules out of these files. So like, what are the modules that I have in these listed files? And then and then in your program, like on the programmer's perspective, you don't talk with files at all. You only talk via modules when doing imports and exports. That was like, you pass the baton of files to the compiler in the command line, and from the program, you only deal with modules.
Yeah, that's kind of what Scheme does actually. If you look at the R6RS and R7RS. Here's an example, okay, real quick. Actually, I can get a real example because I happen to have
Of course you do.
um, R7RS. I'll look at this one because it's nicer. Um, library. Ba, 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 ba.
Oh, and now that we're dealing with modules, folks, now it makes sense to have a sense of binary representation, so you don't have to recompile libraries.
That's not necessarily the case, actually.
No, but it makes sense. Like now we have an incentive to do that. Before it was like whatever.
Sequencing, define library. That's probably better. Yeah, here. Basically, there's this define library form, and there's also a library form from R6RS, which is older. Where is there any actual examples? Oh, there is. Okay.
Oh, and there's another problem with my idea. my idea removes the invariant from Prolog that the order matters. Because the compiler will do a pre-processing step fetching all the modules before executing your program.
What do you mean the invariant that the order matters?
Well, we talked about this
Oh,
before,
the
right?
order,
Semantically,
the
in
order,
Prolog, the order
the
matters.
order still matters,
No.
right?
The order only matters in the body of a predicate. The order of definitions in a file is irrelevant.
No, that's not
Yes.
true. We
It is
made
true.
No, that's not true. We made already a couple of programs that we had like a retry me else and a trust me, and then we swap the clauses. The program outcome changed.
Oh, that's because if you have the same definition multiple times, that's part of one definition, Lemus.
Exactly,
Logically.
exactly. But the order does matter.
And it also matters in Haskell, so what?
In Haskell, it doesn't. If I make a
It
function,
does actually. No,
no,
it does.
if I
If you make
swap two function definitions in Haskell, the output of the program is the same
no. If you swap the order of the two definitions for the same function, the meaning changes.
for the same function.
Yes, when you define the same function multiple times to do pattern matching on the arguments.
Ah, you mean on doing pattern matching? Okay. No, but you're right. That's the correct analogous to what I was complaining about. Well, not complaining, talking about in Prolog, right? But well, I mean, in that case, I think we're fine then. If we're gonna go with that argument that well, pattern matching all the order always matters, right?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, go on.
So yeah, scheme libraries. Here's what they look like if you're doing R7 RS. R6 RS is slightly different. You don't need this begin here, but the concepts are basically the same. You do a define library. You define a name for the library. And this is a logical name, okay? It has nothing to do with the file system necessarily. Although most scheme implementations for convenience,
Well, which is the same
they
in our
match
case, right?
the
We could
yeah.
name it modules, but we named it ABC.
But you don't just write top-level definitions when you have a file. You actually have to do a define library even in those implementations. So like
Yeah, in the vision that Mageta is proposing, we can only have top-level things on the application program. Otherwise, they're useless.
Okay, but basically you do define library, you define a logical name for the library, and it doesn't have to match the file system necessarily. Then you have exports and imports, and then you have the begin, which is the body of the library, right? So this is where you have all of your defines. And then when you do an import, you use the same logical name that you define up here, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And you can do like renames and what have you, but the point is you don't use the file system in the language at this level.
I see. Well, I see. Go back to the example, please. Yeah. So the console on line 11 is impossible to export, right?
It would be impossible to use as well, right? Unless
Yeah,
it's an application.
unless it's an application, yeah. Um, I'm
Okay,
actually
so
pretty,
basically,
I'm actually pretty okay with this idea of like, okay, if you have definitions that you want to export, it's mandatory to create a module. If you don't want to create a module, this needs to be an application, the application program itself.
okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Um,
that sounds fine. And then in the future, we're definitely gonna have a collections.karuta, and we're gonna have a module for lists, a module for sets, a module for trees.
uh,
Oh, whoa, wait. We have to make another decision. Can you have modules inside modules?
yeah, I don't see. Actually, here's the question. Um, do we absolutely need to register this name here?
In your opinion, yes. What would be the alternative?
If you say no, if you just say module and then you have the interface and the definition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this case, you are not naming the module, which means this is anonymous, which means hmm, which means you cannot refer to it because this is a compiler directive. This is not a definition.
Yeah. So
Uh,
what's the usefulness of that?
I guess here's a more here's actually a more pertinent question. Do modules have to be first class values in the language?
Well,
Like
to
do
do
they
what
exist
Magenta
at
want, yeah.
no. Do they exist at runtime? Is there a module type or whatever?
Well, no, because we don't have functors yet, but Magenta will want them in the future.
But functors don't necessarily imply that modules are first class either.
Well, but I thought, well, what is your definition? The functors, the modules being the translation units. That's the definition of first class.
No, that's not a definition of first class.
Okay, so I have no idea what is the semantics of the term
Okay,
you're
is a
using.
module a value in the language, Lemos? That's the question.
No, but a module is a value in OCaml.
Well, yes, because OCaml has first class modules.
No, but the only use case for modules as values are functors. No, where else can you
But you
use them?
don't but you don't need modules as values to have functors.
Oh, you're right. You can implement semantically what the functors do without making them values. That's true. I don't think so. Well, at least for now, definitely no.
Mm,
But
okay,
probably in the
if
future we will make them.
modules
We will make them in
okay,
the future, probably.
if modules are not first class, then the question of can you nest them doesn't matter that much actually.
No, it does, right? Because if I have a module called tree, but I want to actually consult a function that is inside another module inside tree, which is called a finger tree, wouldn't it be nice if I do tree column finger tree column to refer to the finger tree function?
But you need to import the module first, don't you?
Well, of course, but then I would, um, when I'm doing a call for a function inside the second module, which is nested, how in order to be able to do that, I need the modules to be nested, right? So a module inside a module.
So you need to be able to do something like this basically.
I don't know.
Module.
I don't know about that syntax for the single quotes, but
What do you mean?
yeah, I don't know about the single quotes. I don't see a reason for them in there.
Because this doesn't parse as a label for a functor otherwise.
For a functor. But I'm not talking about functors.
I mean prolog functors, not the ml functors.
I have no idea what prolog functors are. My bad.
It's just a structure, Lemos. Like you know, like this or like this, I guess.
What is a prolog? What is a functor in prolog? Oh, a functor in
It's
prolog, the one in the language. Okay, the one that we in our implementation. Well, but why do we need that in this case in line 5? Why do we want to make that a
because
functor?
this is a list, Lemos.
Oh, this is a list of things that the parser accepts. The parser can just accept another import like line 1, no? Another definition, I guess.
But then the syntax will become inconsistent, you know.
Oh, maybe, but I think it's terrible that single quotes to make a functor with the column dash. It looks terrible. Well, continue writing it. Continue writing it. Sorry that I interrupted you.
Uh, but yeah, no. Basically, you would do something like, well, this should be square brackets, not parentheses. I don't know what I was thinking. Oops. Yeah, basically we would have to do something like, I don't know. Oh, actually, this just has one argument. Yeah, something like this, basically, where we say,
Well, this has two arguments, right? The signature and the implementation.
no, but those are arguments of the module, not of the arrow, I guess, turnstile.
The arrow. Oh, I see, I see.
Um,
And that is weird as fuck. We're making a lot of distinctions between the module on line 1 and the module on line 5. They should be exactly the same.
They would be if you desugar this as if you desugared operators into functors, they would be actually the same.
Hmm.
But we don't do that basically. We just do that for this because we want the prolog syntax.
Yeah, the arrow being the single quotes, man, that's just horrendous. Holy fuck. But okay, continue.
Just
Um,
because I said I had an emergency, I actually do have an emergency.
hmm.
Oh, go solve the emergency.
And I'll just check. I just connect to production and I make queries. That's what I do.
Yeah, I'm recording, by the way.
No, it's fine.
Go on, Marinho.
Uh, okay, so basically we need a local name for this module, right? So this needs to take another argument, which means for consistency, this also should have another argument.
Yeah,
So this
anonymous
would have
modules don't
a.
make sense to me right now.
But then the problem is we lose the ability to do namespacing at this level.
What do you mean?
Like if I say um, A and I say B here, right?
Uh-huh.
The name A is taken at the top level now. The prefix A, I guess.
Yeah, but that's also the case with OCaml and SML, no? That's already true. Well, you're right that we
Mm,
can have the freedom of changing that, but I don't know why you would change that.
I mean, the main concern I have is okay if we say um, okay if a file is not a module. What happens if you try to do multiple modules in the same file? What's the semantics of that?
Um, well, the compiler, when receiving the file modules.karuta, he would identify two modules on the top level and save them in a table, probably for the compilation. Now, if your
Okay.
question is, what if one module uses the functions from the other? I have no idea.
No, okay, and that's not it actually, my concern. My concern is okay, what if there's another file that also has a module A? What happens?
Then, when you pass that file to the list of files to the Karuta compile command, it will blow up saying that you have conflicting module names.
Okay, so basically your suggestion is we just effectively concatenate the files.
Well, no. We concatenate the modules within files. Like, I'm treating files as a syntax sugar for a container of modules, essentially, at this point. Aside from the application program. Like, when the compiler starts, it literally puts the modules in a bucket, like in a set, and the application module on the other side, the application code on the other side, and executes the application code using the bucket as an available place to have predicates definitions. That's
Hmm.
essentially how I'm treating them.
Uh, okay, in that case, you don't really need imports, do you?
Well, it depends on what's going to be the default behavior. If the default behavior is that uh, you need an import to have access to the modules, because having the imports is great because then you can.
No, 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 but that's inconsistent, Lemos, because if you say, okay, a module, if you say, okay, you declare a module, it has a name, and if you have a separate file with a module with the same name and you try to compile the two together, that breaks, right?
Yeah.
That implies that every file is in a single namespace.
Yes, but the reason that I want the imports is because then when we make the final executable in the future, we can literally drop, because for example, let's say that you pass to the Karuta in the Karuta compiler 50 files, and that sums up to like 100 modules. But your application program only uses two modules. By the imports, if you have the import directive, you can select the modules that really matter and discard everything else. So then you can make the executable smaller if you're doing static linking in the future.
But you can still do the executable smaller without the import. You just keep whatever you are using
Yeah,
and
no, you're gonna
discard
have to do
everything else.
you're gonna have a like a full pass of like, okay, what are the modules that this guy is actually using, and then you like you find them, right? Maybe you do that even when you are running the program already.
No,
But
not when you're running. When you're compiling, you just have to say, okay, this symbol is namespace, so I'm using this symbol from that module, and then you just keep the modules that you have named. Like, you don't need import for that.
well, but then we can use we can drop the import and introduce the open, so then you don't have to prefix the things like in OCaml.
We can introduce open. We can introduce open. Do I like that?
We use that loads of that in our compiler. We do let open and we just be happy.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, here's one problem.
Okay.
When you want to compile a program, you now have to list every module, or rather, every file that has a module that you care about, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, in the future, we can also ship the compiler with a standard library that has already those like considered by the compiler, so you don't have to import like standard and collections and things like that.
Yeah, no. That's okay. The problem is, what if you're using an external library that's not shipped with the compiler, right? Do you have to
Then,
list all the files in the library to compile your program?
yeah, all the files of the library that you care, yes.
Which means that now the file names inside of the library are part of the library's interface.
Well, not you don't have to do all the files one by one. Maybe you can make some shortcuts. So like, if you pass a folder, we import all the files in that folder, for example.
We import all of them.
Yeah, if you pass a folder, right? If you pass a
But what if
directory, we do that.
but what if a library has a module that it doesn't want to export?
Then the library needs to have nested folders and just like what they do in Haskell and Rust, for example. I don't know if you ever look into those, but usually you have a bunch of files in a separate directory in Haskell and Rust, and you have a
But all the
file that is a
files,
top-level file that just re-exports the public ones.
but we don't. But that only works because files are modules.
Well, no, I understand. I understand your concern, I think. Okay, so your question is, okay, what happens if there are files in my library that I don't want them to be exposed? But that's very easy, no? You just don't put them in the signature.
What if you want to separate them into modules internally for organization?
Ah, so you do have modules with things in the signature, but the signature is only public to the other modules within the library, but they should not be exposed to. I think you're gonna have to create another syntactical element for that. I don't see
There's
a
an easy
way.
way to there's
Okay,
an easy way to fix that.
go.
If a file is a module, you can choose what you export from a file, right? Because a file is a module and you can choose what's in the signature of a module.
Yeah, but I think we don't need to go all the way to making files back to modules just to fix that problem.
The other alternative is to abstract over the file system the way Scheme does, but then we kinda lose easy aliasing, right? We would have to say something like, okay, this is like libfoo a, and then we separately we have import A from libfoo A or something like that. This is effectively what Scheme does, except this is imports are tied up into the library syntax, kinda.
Wait, so libfoo is kind of like a namespace that you can put things inside.
Um, well, it is, but basically, you see, Scheme tries to like dodge the issue by saying that a library name is not actually a symbol, but a list of symbols. So it's kind of inventing something analogous to a file system to allow you to namespace modules, basically.
Mm. My brain hurts, man.
Yeah, naming is hard, isn't
No,
it?
not naming. We are doing this is a lot of things, but not naming. This is like trying to figure
But
out a way to not tie
what
the
is a
files to modules and solve all the problems that we may encounter in the future. Because until you brought that question of like, okay, what if I want private things, but private within a context of the from the users of the library's perspective, but I want them public from the library's perspective. Fuck me. How would we solve that if a file is not a module?
What is the issue? I'm waiting for
Okay,
a
so
response.
the issue is, I was explaining to Marinho the idea of like when you call the compiler, you pass the files that the modules are contained within, and then the compiler gets rid of the files and just like they keep the modules. And then Marinho asked, okay, but what if I have an external third-party library? Then I said, okay, then you pass the directory of the library that you're gonna have to have downloaded in your system. Uh, you pass the directory, and then we import all the files in the directory. The compiler like grabs it and do the things. But then he asked the question: what if I have files in the library that I need them public from the perspective of the implementer of the library, but I don't want some of those things exposed to the user of the library?
Isn't that what C does with includes and lib?
Yes, pretty much. But
So
Marinho,
you will need to pass the path of the header, right? And for the compiler and the lib, which is the static object in that case. But we don't have the static object, so we need to compile the files of the library as well, right?
yeah, and we're not allowing you to create signatures outside of the module's implementation, so they're not separate physically as well.
Mm,
So the question is, how do you make some things public to a particular user, but private to another user?
well, a export signature.
An export signature.
That doesn't work if you organize your library internally into modules.
Ah, no, but there is a solution. There is a hack. We can make a special file for libraries that when dealing with a library, the compiler only looks at this particular file, and this file tells the compiler which modules are public.
Okay, so
Uh,
effectively you want a module system also at the module level.
Like what F sharp does in a way. I
oh,
remember there was a
okay.
file in
I
F
see what you
sharp.
want. You want, yes. Okay, so like a solution you want.
Yeah, Erlang also does that, right? It's the source file.
Well, most languages do, yeah. So you would want something that binds and tells, okay, these are the things that are exposed under this project,
Yeah, it's
right?
the proj
So,
file in F sharp, right?
oh, but wait, you could fix this issue exposing only because, for example, you can add a library with a flag on the compiler that you add, okay, add this library, this is the path for it, and then it imports that file with,
But you don't import files, you import modules.
No.
A
sorry,
file is not a module, remember?
it imports the modules, but it only exposes on the compilation modules that are under the signature for export.
No, but we don't have that. We don't have. Um, how should I say? Let's
I
say that
don't
my
think that's
library has.
even a good idea. And man, even if we did files as modules, I don't think that's a good idea because that what if you have something defined under the same path? It would overlap, right?
Yeah, no, but here's the situation. Let's say that my library has 50 modules, but half of those modules they are there just for the implementing the other 25 modules. And I want to expose to you as the user of the library just 25. I don't want you to see the other 25. This is the problem that Marinho is trying to solve. How do I tell the compiler that if you're trying to use a module that is forbidden by the library's maintainer, I need to tell you that. I need to not allow you to do that. So I only see two ways of doing that. Either we create a syntactical element, or we make a file that dictates which things are public and which things are private.
I don't see the problem of having a file that amalgamates everything in your project.
I
I
also think that's okay. Like after I thought about it, Erlang does it, F Sharp does it. Like we're not
I see
doing.
the problem when you start to build a build system around that. That would be
Yeah, that
crazy.
kind of sucks because suddenly you need to have a file that has global knowledge. You lose like locality effectively.
Oh man, this is hard. Okay, so what's your suggestion, Marine, to solve it?
Uh,
Just go in production and delete records from a table without a
that's amazing.
transaction.
That's amazing,
I think
Magetta.
I think we can just go with the idea as we have for now because it's very abstract. I think we should need to code something, and then when we finish, we can go back to this question of like, okay, are we gonna have a file with global knowledge for libraries or not?
Hmm. Hmm.
We do need order of the execution, right?
What do you mean?
So if you have something defined at top of something else, you would need that something else being defined before you actually use it, no?
No, we don't.
We don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it's just atoms, right?
Yeah.
So you're just gonna look at runtime.
Yeah. It's very
I
fine.
see. But if we do types later, we do, no?
Yeah. No. No. Yeah. When we introduce
We
types,
why?
because
Actually, no, because you can just parse everything, and then at the end of the parse of the types, right? And then you run the type checker. If something doesn't exist there, it should fail. You just need to have the complete thing
yeah, it's
at
gonna
some
become a two.
point,
Yeah, it's
right?
gonna become a two-pass compiler when we do that.
It's already a two-pass compiler, kinda.
Well, it is, but you're counting the pre-processing, right?
Well, the preprocessor is part of the compiler, no?
Well, yes, but no, you're right. So it would be a three-pass compiler. We do pre-processing, then we do the type checking, and then we do the execution. Yeah, but that's a very future concern. Um, okay, so what do you think, Marinho? Do we go with this idea for now that files are not modules, and we just deal with the problem of like public versus private for libraries specifically? We deal with that later. I think we're gonna
Hmm.
end up using the file, to be completely honest. I don't see another way.
Hmm.
Well, there's another way with doing things on the compiler, right? With flags and etc. Like C.
That just moves
Mm.
the list of files elsewhere. It doesn't remove it.
Yes, which is in a place I think it should be, which is not in the program, but better on something that is building using the files.
No, no, no. But we're gonna deal with files only on the command line anyway, Mageta. The problem is how do you explain, how do you determine private versus public in a setting where you have library maintainers and library users. That's the only incognita that we have right now. We're not gonna deal with
Yeah,
files
but
outside of that.
yeah, but my point is, if you have a flag that already indicates it's a project, and then a project should include a, let's say, a library, right? It should include like a exports, like general exports, whatever. And then if you look at that, you just expose those. You see?
Oh, so wait, but then you're telling me that.
Like you don't need the file necessarily. You just need a way to indicate that that thing from remote, like a remote library, is exporting only is
Wait,
a remote library. First of
no,
all,
but that's a
it's
good
not
idea,
your
Marinho.
source code.
That libfoo syntactical element already does what Magetta said. This is already indicating to the compiler that if we are in a context of using this as a library, this should be exposed maybe because it's written libfoo.
It doesn't really.
No, but we could make that happen, right? We could have
No,
special atoms to indicate what Magetta is proposing.
no, because here's the problem. Like, this is literally just a fancy way of building a larger symbol. Like, the fact that this is a list is kind of irrelevant.
No. Forget the semantics from scheme. I'm not using the scheme semantics. I'm just trying to look at what you wrote and trying to fit what Magetta is proposing. Because Magetta is saying, oh, you pass a flag to it, and then the flag tells the compiler that, hey, in this context, this happens. In this other context, this other thing happens. We could use an indication in the module itself that this is a module only public for library, from the library's perspective. We could.
Mm, we could, but then we would have magic names everywhere.
It's like extern, right? In a way.
Magic names. I agree to some extent because module is already a magic name at this point. Like it's a built-in thing that has different semantics than a predicate.
Well, no, what indicates that it's not a predicate is the fact that there's no head here.
That's fair enough. But I think I like this idea that Magetta is proposing of having a flag, because this removes the need of having to have a global file, which puts locality back on, right? I rather have locality with magical names than the global file with no magical names.
It's just one magical name.
Well, for now, that's
For
always
now.
how it
For
starts.
now. For now.
Okay, so could you put lib instead of libfoo in there, Marin? And this doesn't need to have brackets surrounding the lib and the a. These should just be separate arguments on the module definition. So
No, the point is that this can have an arbitrary length.
No, but we are not using scheme semantics, my man. Lib, we are just reusing the syntax, but this now means something else.
I regret suggesting this syntax then.
No, change the syntax then.
You
But
want
then
me
why
to
would you
invent?
put? But then
Yeah.
why
You
would
come up with
we
something
put this?
first.
On line 1, we just remove the brackets surrounding a and lib. So the
Like this?
the magical atom is the first one, and that indicates that this is only public for the library maintainer. If you're importing from as an application, this module won't be exposed to you. That's what it means. And then the name of the module comes after, so A, and then the signature, and then the implementation. And if you don't have the lib, if you only have 3 arguments, like A, signature, and implementation, this is exposed to the library users.
So this would be something. This actually lib is not that great of a name. Then lib should really be local, right?
Yes. Better name. Yeah, and then you don't need the local on the import, I guess. You can just import it, right? Yeah. No, the local on line 12 is weird. I don't know what that means.
I mean, you could be importing a public A and calling it A here, Or you could be importing a local way. Do you want to separate those? Probably not, actually.
Probably not. Wait, so the two ways have different meanings in there.
This is what you are importing, and this is what you're calling here. This could be foo, and then you would call
Yeah,
it
but then I
as
think the
like.
bracket surrounding that pair makes more sense.
What do you mean?
Exactly that. Another brackets. So in the import we have a list of pairs, which is the first one is the alias and the second one is the real name.
This is not a list, Lemus.
Well, I know. What is the problem? But if I want to import another module, you're gonna put another import directive?
That's kind of the first idea you had, yes.
I was thinking about having pairs on the first import. And treating as it was a list.
Okay, so what you mean is something like this, then.
Well, you have three
Well,
brackets.
we don't need. Actually, we don't need this.
Yeah, and if you have a singleton, the name of the module is the name of the alias. And if you have a thing with two things, then the first is the alias and the second is the real module. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually okay. Let's try to code something. At least prototype something. Okay, so we're gonna keep the idea that definitions on top level that are not application program, they're useless.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Ooh, but that brings another question. How will we identify the application program?
Well, we need to say this file is the top level at some point. Somewhere.
Okay. That's kind of weird. Okay. Oh no, we can do like what GCC does. We can search for main. Yeah, that's okay.
And that's magic name number 2.
Yeah, no, that like I told Magenta, this is how it starts. If you have any confidence this is not gonna get into a list of magical names, you're being delusional.
Here's how you do it,
I find a
Lemons.
magical name on Postgres every day, by the way.
Yes, Maria.
This is how you avoid magical names, Lemos.
Yeah, no, but this requires a build system. Which, man, the build system should be written in Karuta. Yeah, I like it. Like Zig does. We need to follow the wise lessons from the modern languages. And one of them is that the build system should not be a separate language. Fuck JSON. Okay, so
Okay, first of all.
let's do the following. No, go back.
Okay.
Let's remove line 12 to 16. Well, 10 to 16. And let's create a folder for this example because we're going to have two files. One called modules.karuta and the other one called main.karuta maybe. And then the main.karuta imports the modules. And then we have a full example that just does that.
Okay, what if we do then modules? Then we move this to this. Actually, I can do it from here. And then...
Oh, the local there won't work, by the way. Because we're going to use it as an application, right? So.
Yeah.
And then main.karuta, and the main.karuta uses the cons.
Oh, actually, not make dir.
Yeah. Oh, we should put another function inside the B module as well. We should make two predicates, one cons for the A, and another for the B. No, the B is an internal module. The B is an internal module.
Oh, this B, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's call this C actually, and let's see.
That's definitely not C, man.
Oh, that's 8. I mistyped. Okay, first of all, let's do a B properly.
You're missing a bracket.
I'm missing a bracket.
I gotta say, the syntax is making me wanna puke, man.
You mean this?
Which syntax? Which
It's
part of
so
it?
it looks so polluted.
Ah, okay, yeah. There's too many brackets. But I don't think there's a way to the delimiter in our language is the bracket. So
And if you just put the thing, you may mistake with a predicate, right?
yeah, like I don't think there's a way to get around this problem.
There is introducing special syntax.
Oh, we can introduce special syntax in here, but Marinho will probably complain you to make the syntax inconsistent.
I mean,
Let me test here.
No, just go for it, Magetta. What would you change on this? Let's see.
Man, I just think that the words with the brackets, they're making it very confusing to read. Like,
I
at least that's my
disagree
feeling
because I
looking
swapped
at
them for
this.
parentheses and I work with closure.
Uh, that's actually an argument, yes. Um, Let me think here. What if it's something like module?
It makes me wanna puke. Well, continue doing what you're doing, Marinho. Implement something for the B.
okay, for this one, let's say we're going to.
So wait, that B is like an internal
Yeah,
module? Is that
yeah.
it?
Yes, it's a nested module.
Nested module.
And those needs to be indented. Okay, let's say then that we have, I don't know.
Let's put the
Let's
plus with Z here.
plus with Z.
Yeah.
A, B. Oh,
And you
actually, this
just
is just 3.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you just call yeah, that's the signature. And then you
Oh,
implement the plus. Go yeah.
I forget. We don't have trailing commas, do we?
We should. Now we have a reason to have them actually. Because of the problem that like oh, I want to swap the order very easily, but one of them has a trailing comma and the other one doesn't.
We can also do Haskell style and put the extra comma before this thing.
But that's a controversial decision. A lot of Haskellers hate that.
What about these? I mean, that's a special syntax.
Well, can we let's see if this we can make this special syntax work, Marin.
Hash module.
No, yeah, the arrow needs to be that because of prologue, Magit. Not
The
hashtag, but
arrow.
the arrow.
The
That's how
arrow.
you import in prologue.
Oh yes,
Oh,
I know.
I think Magetta wants to.
I want to eliminate the arrow. Actually, that is the reason.
You do want to eliminate the arrow.
And then, like for example, for the module on the top, which is actually a signature, I suppose, right? The cons.
Yeah, the cons 3 is the signature.
This is the signature, yeah.
What about these then? Signature.
What do you think about the hashtag, Manin?
I don't see how that is any different from this, honestly.
It looks better. I can tell you that much.
It looks better. Yes, that's my own reason. 3. How would you put a module though? Well, I guess it would be. How would you define a module in a signature? That's a good question.
Define a module in a signature.
Ah, okay. What
do you
about
mean?
this?
We don't have separate
No.
signatures for modules yet, Mageta. So
No,
keep
it's
it in
something
mind.
interesting. Wait a sec.
You could
Okay,
just say
here.
B
What
here.
about these? What about these here?
Mm.
Yeah,
Oops,
he
sorry.
changed things in there.
Wait, I'll change again.
Yeah, you do
I
want
mean,
the
it doesn't
signatures to
need
be.
to be.
Yeah, so the first thing is that Magenta is separating the signature from the implementation.
Yes, so that's why the dot, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's an option, I guess.
Because then you can put the signature anywhere, right?
And I gotta say, surprisingly, the hashtag looks nicer than the arrow, even though I
Oops.
understand that this is getting farther away from Prolog. But we don't need to adhere to the ugly parts of Prolog.
Like my
Hmm.
point is, it's already consistent with what we are doing. We're putting prefixes, right? Like @ to database calls, hashtag for modules, and I don't know directives in general.
Hmm.
And this
I
simplifies them out
guess.
of brackets.
I guess we can. It doesn't actually.
No, not the
I mean,
hashtag.
separating.
The
I mean,
separating
separating.
the
Yeah, no,
signature.
separating the signature. Does it really though? I mean, it reduces nesting, which is I
Yeah, the
guess is a
nesting,
good
not the
thing.
amount, not the amount,
Yes,
the
the
nesting.
nesting I think is the thing that's mostly painful.
ABC const 3 and then hash XYZ.
Yeah, hash to symbolize XYZ is a module, right?
You don't need that actually.
No, we know you don't, but he's proposing it because it looks better.
No, I mean the signature. You can just say XYZ directly because the difference
All
is this is
right.
a
Okay.
predicate because there's 3 arguments, you see.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
What is the
Um,
XYZ?
It's it's just an
Ah,
it's an
atom referring
in
to a
this case,
module.
in this case it would be this is a module A instead, and this would be B, right?
if you don't
And
put the
this
B, you're not
goes away.
exposing the inner module.
If you
Yeah.
don't put the B, yes, it's not exposed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay, that improved quite a bit, but man, the single quoted arrow there on line 5. Yeah, I think that's gotta have the champion of
That's
the
the.
ugliest
I
thing I
mean
ever
that.
seen in my life.
Yes, that. I mean that makes sense, but that looks very polluted. That's my point.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
does. Yeah, it freaking does.
Because it is consistent if you think about
No, it
the
is
structure of the
consistent. No, it is.
language.
It is.
Yes, if
I
you think of
understand.
the structure of the language, but when you look at it, it doesn't feel like that. Because, well, why is it on the outside not like that? That's the first thing I think people look
Exactly.
and say.
Why? That was exactly my reaction. Why is the first one on the top level not like that as well?
Uh. So I guess we want to do something like this, and we say this is a syntax sugar for this. Blah 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 signature, and then this is nested basically.
Yes, okay, that
And
works.
just the first one is a direct argument basically.
Hmm.
Which means this would be this, and
Hmm.
then we don't need this extra level of nesting.
Also, this is a
Yeah.
macro.
Um, but
This stays the
then
same.
we have a slight issue still because actually no, we don't. We don't.
This looks much better. Holy fuck.
This can also go,
Yeah,
right?
the
Yeah, this
signature of
actually
the
goes because the signature is
exactly. Yeah, we're
separate.
gonna have to have a separate signature.
But mind you, this signature could even be on the outside. It wouldn't make much sense, but it could.
It wouldn't make any. Yes, it'd be very confusing as fuck.
Actually, you could do something like this, I think. Maybe that looks fine. Here's an alternative, right? Signature, ABC. In my case,
Mhm.
ABC, I don't know how you guys are going to do the nesting of modules, but one example.
Hmm.
Signature. If you want to do it from outside, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is definitely not a must-have feature for now.
I somehow think that's not a good idea.
But is that just intuition based, or do you have an argument?
Why would you define from an outer module what the inner
Yeah,
module
yeah, that's
Yes,
exports?
very weird.
I get that, but since I said that you don't need to have it glued to the module, right? I thought it would make sense, but it might not be. So I might ignore that.
Mm,
Okay, so then the module B will have the plus, right? So +3. So just call the plus with S, essentially.
What's the
hmm.
second parenthesis there? On line 10?
10.
There's one more, right?
Yeah, there's one extra.
I see.
Implement the plus
Oh
arrow.
man, it's so much more readable.
Yeah, arrow plus with S, and that's it.
Mm. Okay, here's the problem though. Where do we put the body of this thing?
Here, of course.
Oh, the scope of the file. Right?
Because like normally we would do this,
Yeah, why
right?
not? Why not?
We don't have
Oh.
operators is the problem.
What do you mean you don't have operators? I don't understand.
Like logically, this should desugar to something like this, right? Oops. Then this becomes a comma, and this adds another layer. But then we have the issue of, okay, this desugaring with the hashtag doesn't quite work because this has two arguments.
I was never understanding that way at all. I was always understanding that after you do module B, everything else is just normal Karuta. So you can have bodies and things like that, just fine. You have a completely different understanding than that. What does this mean to you?
I literally just said this desugars to this.
Well, in the case of signatures, we're not talking about signatures right now.
Not
You're talking about
signatures, anything with a hash.
so you're talking about
Okay.
the
You want to make a
desugaring
global
converging
desugar.
to the same.
Like, I would like the hash to have a consistent rule, so we just have to remember one thing, ideally. But, well,
But here's the thing: do
this.
you need the definition there, or can that be elsewhere?
Well, that can be elsewhere, but that sucks because
Or you want the possibility of defining the function there?
yeah.
Wait. What do you mean elsewhere? How are you going to define the contents of a module outside of the module?
Well, we have the freedom to do that. I don't know
What do you
why would
mean?
you do that.
I mean, you can do that, right? Why? What do you mean you can't?
No. Okay,
Why would
there are only
you?
two places.
This is just the structure of the module, right? This is not the. This is telling me these are the contents that I want in this module.
No.
If the
That's it.
function is elsewhere,
That's the confusion, Magetta. The signature is the MLI parallel, and the module, the 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 other. For example, line 6. Line 6 is an implementation. This is a fact. We're
oh man,
establishing this is a fact.
no, wait, no, wait. I think we're talking about different things then.
Probably.
So, the what I meant with the signature is what you are. Okay, so it feels kind of redundant now talking about it. So the signature is what you is the type of the module, right?
Well, it's
The module can have
specifying
declarations.
yeah, but the signature is specifying the declarations arities. So the +3 on line 7, this is specifying the arity and in the future the type as well. And the module B is specifying the implementation of the +z.
Oh, it's actually specifying the implementation of the module B, which must have a plus Z, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what needs to go inside module B is the implementation of plus, as we have with cons. In the signature of the module A,
Okay,
we
so you
have
guys are
cons 3.
treating the module as the implementation of the signature A, right? That is the.
Yeah, this would be the struct parallel for OCaml, right? So the signature is the sig parallel in OCaml, and the module is also the struct parallel of OCaml. That's why cons on line 6 is an implementation. It's because it's specifying the cons arity 3
Oh,
on the
let me
signature.
think. Because here's the thing: it's not that just because you need to separate things in modules doesn't mean that you should put things on physically the scope of a module. So
Wait, so your proposal would be to like have another place. Okay, so you have three things. We have the signature, we have the module, and we have the implementation. Is that how
that
what we're
What's
that's what
the
thinking?
what's the point of
that
having the module with no implementation?
no, wait. It's the possibility of having the implementation outside of the module.
But
And then
why
the
would
module
you?
is just
The
an
reason
alias to the
the
thing that
reason
is
you
on the
would do
outside.
that, Marinho, and I don't think that's necessarily a good reason, is because then you can have a separate place to deal with private slash public things.
But isn't that what
No,
the signature does?
that
Not
yeah,
in the case
private
of
is
nested
already the
modules, right?
signature.
Oh no, actually you're right.
Not in the
In the case of
keys.
nested modules, the signature also covers it.
Wait. I think I think we're talking past each other. Let me come up with a SML example.
Okay, but the problem is that Marinho wants to treat the hashtag as a macro, so he wants it to expand to line 3, and that means that line 9 will not work.
Hmm. I mean, we could just properly implement binary operators, and then we wouldn't need this at all.
I actually don't want to treat the hashtag as a macro, but that's a controversial opinion, I guess.
But this, I
Yeah,
guess,
that
yeah,
comma
this
there
is
is
not
going to become a
ideal.
problem.
Yeah, this is not ideal actually. Hmm.
Yeah, man, inside the module's body, after the name, I think we should just have normal Karuta semantics, like dots and commas for normal places in, like, conjunction, right? We are using the commas there for to list the definitions, right, for the module. I don't think we should do that. OCaml doesn't do that.
Uh, but OCaml is not homoiconic.
No. I keep forgetting what that means, though.
It's
That
the
means that the
symbols
source
using the
code is
same.
defined in terms of the normal data structures of the language.
Ah, I see. Okay, and you want to keep it homoniconic.
I noticed I didn't have dinner yet. I'll be right back. But I
Okay, so
sent an example.
grab the code from the chat, Marie.
Okay, you have a signature, then you have a structure.
No, I wanted you to put in a buffer, but I can open it here as well.
I'll just copy it here. Temp dot, this is ML, right?
Yeah. Okay, so you have a signature, and then you have
Yeah,
the
this
structure.
is messed up. Actually, this would probably be better as. Oh wait, this is already okay. Okay, so you have a signature, then you have a structure.
Yeah, but you're not defining anything of the module from outside of the structure. That's not that's not the example that we were looking for. Your question is, what if I have something defining a signature, but not implemented in the structure? That would be the equivalent in OCaml in SML. But this
But
example doesn't
that's
do that.
that's
You define area and circumference in the signature, and you implement them in the structure, which is exactly what we are proposing. But you're not using the word structure. You're using the name module, right?
yeah.
Man, I don't think there's a way to make this homo iconic and not look like ass. Do you see a way?
Mm,
Outside of putting brackets there, like more brackets, polluting it with more brackets.
hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's not gonna look great. Hmm.
Well, we can make it like semantically confusing that
I mean,
cons
if we want to be more consistent, I guess we would have to do some, well, more consistent with the right hand side. We would do something like, I don't know, sig a, and then we put the signature here explicitly, right?
um, well, there's no need, right? A signature with a particular name and a module with a particular name, they are married
No, no,
together.
no. But the point is that you can use the same signature in multiple modules now.
Ah, I see. I see. Okay, that's fine. I think the only way to make this not terrible is if the commas on line 9 they have special meaning. They are not commas as conjunction anymore. But that kind of looks bad. Like I don't like making it inconsistent.
Hmm.
All because I wanted a simple namespace system.
Uh, I mean, there is actually a slightly different way to go about this. What if we say, okay, you can't actually have hash as the first character of a predicate name, and then we allow some syntax like this. Module, then we say the name of the module A, and then the signature sig A, and then we say, and then this is the module body.
That's better.
And
That's
we make a
better.
rule that if hmm, yeah, this is not quite that great
No, but I
because
like that idea of not using the brackets. I like having the arrow. We should change the syntax of the first one to that. Continue.
uh, yeah, no, this doesn't quite work. We need something that can nest
There's
arbitrarily.
Yeah, but there's only one thing that can do that, which are functors.
What's your feeling about adding different types of delimiters, Lemos?
I'm completely fine with that actually. Like if by adding parentheses we can make the syntax nicer, I'm willing to make that choice.
Because then we could do something like, I don't know, curly braces. And this allows us to have like cons A, B, A, B, dot, you see?
Ah, it's because by not using the arrow, you don't have to put the well, we can have the freedom of not making it look like conjunction if you use the comma. But let's continue. What happens in this version with the signature of B, for example? You just paste it
And then
there.
with what happens with the signature of B? Well, in this case, then we do something like sig signature sig B. Just for consistency, let's say we do something like this, right? And then we say, okay, we have a plus with arity 3. Actually, we don't need this anymore, do we?
What do you mean you don't need this anymore?
Like, if we want to be fully consistent with this hashtag syntax, then actually, instead of doing this, we should do something more like, um, Actually, I guess we can do this, I suppose.
Yeah, but now we're missing. Let's go to the next step, making the B module.
Well, in that case, we do module. This is B, and it satisfies signature of B.
And there's a
And
major
then,
problem. Now that we're introducing really heavy special syntax, we need to have an Emacs mode for Karuta. I can't just
do
keep
we?
reusing the Prolog one.
Mm,
Go for it. So now the plus can just keep like line 9. Marinho?
yeah, the plus would be like, yeah, we can just copy this actually, and this becomes a dot.
I think I like it.
Uh, yeah, I just don't like this actually. The
I
fact
think we
that I
don't.
need to put
I
a
don't think we need the curly braces. This could just be the signature could just be a functor with the sig b and the list of predicates with arities.
okay.
No, you need to put the +3 there. Yeah,
Plus 3.
exactly. And then you use commas to separate to like list more.
Yeah, because this is a list. This is a normal list, basically.
Yeah, that's it. What do you think? I think I like it actually because this now adds semantics that curly braces allows you to write Karuta.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea.
Awesome. So you can delete lines 3 to 11.
Hmm. Actually, for consistency, we should probably add a dot here, right?
And the dot there is a little weird because that's not curly braces. Those are brackets. Ah no, but you're classifying this as a Karuta code. That's why there's a
Like
dot.
from hash to the point is a thing, basically. And you can put
Ah.
curly braces here because this is a hash.
Okay. 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 Delete lines 3 to 11 then, and you need to put
3.
brackets on line 1. More brackets. Yeah,
I need to
Deckbrook.
put brackets on line 1.
Yeah,
Oh,
surrounding
right,
the
because
cons and
this is a list now.
yeah. Looks great, actually. Well, do you want to
Hmm.
put the arrows back in instead of hashtag to see how that looks like?
Put the arrows back in.
Instead of hashtag.
We can try that.
No, in all of them, like in all the hashtags. Okay, thoughts.
Yeah, I kind of prefer not having the hashtag actually.
I think Maget
Now
is
that we have curly,
yeah.
now that we have curly braces.
I think Maget is gonna dislike that, but I think it's more consistent. Like, I think we should be very careful on adding special syntax. This is one of the lessons learned from Spatula, because in Spatula, to solve every problem, we added special syntax. And that made the language pretty noisy, pretty fast. Okay, so let's implement module C using this new strategy, and let's just at least try to parse this today. Probably
Okay, so basically a compiler directive is this arrow followed by a functor, optionally followed by curly braces, which can nest the top level syntax, followed
yeah,
by a
I don't know
dot.
what the curly brace would mean in this particular case, but in the future we can think about something.
What do you mean?
I don't see a reason to allow curly braces when doing signatures at all. They should only be allowed on modules.
Oh, you're talking about no. The point is, like we could say, okay, for signatures specifically, this is a compiler error because semantics of signatures, you don't have nested stuff, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm talking about just parsing, like the tokens, tokenization basically, right?
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Okay, let's go to
No.
the.
Let's. No, you're not done. We need to rewrite module C using the new
All
strategy.
right, this is yeah, this has no signature though.
Yeah, we need to.
Oh no, oh no,
Yeah,
it does actually.
yeah. This is using the old. I'm calling it old, but like half an hour ago strategy.
Let's say that you can just have an inline signature if you don't name it, like it's just a list.
Sure.
Okay, but then this is in curly braces
Curly
now.
braces, yeah.
This dot can go away, and then we have this definition of cons.
No, but we should not do cons. We should do probably multiply. Probably.
Okay, why not?
Well, I
Mo
guess no.
A
Actually, I take that back.
B.
Let's make it cons, but let's make the implementation different than the cons on A. So then we can test that the cons are being respecting the module qualifiers, right?
Okay, instead of cons building a list, let's say this builds like a node style from before we had lists
Sure,
thingy.
sure. That won't work though. Oh, you're using cons as a functor in that case.
Yeah,
I see.
just normal Karuta syntax. You can have a functor with the label cons.
Okay, and now let's make the main.karuta in this folder, and let's call all of these guys in there.
Uh, main.karuta. Um, Let me open this. Oops. Let's save this for now.
Yeah, but this was very fun. Man, it's so fun to make your own language, especially when you have a feeling that you know what you're doing.
Okay, so we import.
That's it. No, we
Um,
don't need the import. Remember,
we
because we're
we
gonna
kind
we're
of
gonna
do.
we're gonna pass the compiler. Oh, only if you want the alias, right?
Hmm.
Because remember, we're gonna pass this file modules.karuta to the Karuta compiler. The Karuta compiler will identify 3 modules, one of them being nested. That's okay. Then the main program, which is the main.karuta, can use them. Like we do in LFA, for example. In LFA, you don't import the closure namespace. You just use it directly.
We just use it.
In OCaml as well.
Right, because we're going to like this is semantically equivalent to like discarding the top level stuff other than modules and signatures and then just concatenating everything, which means yeah, we don't need this actually.
Only if you want an alias.
Only if you want an alias. But then it would actually be better to say something like
I think it should be
uh,
open instead of import in that case.
but open is not the same thing as defining an alias.
But yes, but I think we could use the open for 2 things. Either you don't want to prefix the functions from the module in here, so you just like import it, do a let open like we do it in OCaml, or you can use the open to rename.
That's inconsistent as heck, Lemos.
Those are only 2 use cases for open. That seems fine to me. Well, but if you have a better
Mm,
idea, let's just go for it.
hmm.
And we don't have to tackle everything right now. We can make the case of just you are obligated to namespace everything for now. Later we think about doing the let open, and later we do the renaming, the alias. For now, you can just write the main program and the main query.
Uh, okay, what's the query we're gonna do? Let's say,
Main.
yeah, let's do out question mark, and then main out is,
Yep.
and then what do? We need
We need to call three
to.
things. We need to call the cons from A, the plus from B, and the cons from C. Um,
Okay, so let's see. Let's say then that
we
the.
should call the cons from C first, because once you go to the list, we can't get out of it easily.
What do you mean?
Oh, that also is okay. Well, but that sounds like a problem because we can't generate numbers. So
No, we can just do something like, I don't know, A cons, and then we do 1, 2, A,
sure,
right?
sure.
Then you do A, B,
Plus,
plus 1, 2, B.
sure.
Then we do C cons 1, 2, C. And the output is a list, basically.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, and this should eventually become, well, the output of the query should be A equals 1, 2, B equals 3,
3.
and C equals cons 1, 2.
Yep. Okay. We
Actually,
have.
this should be a pipe, not a comma. But yeah,
Yes. I
this should be
also
the
forgot.
this should be the expected output,
Awesome.
basically.
Awesome. Okay, we have a full program, and in this case a library, and that does the thing. So
Actually,
now,
let's make this a bit nicer. This will be an empty list, and this will be new. And then this will be just one, and then this will be one new, like old style.
sure. Uh, okay, I would say we have two options now. We can't parse both buffers. Which one do you want to start with?
Technically, we can actually. Oh no, we don't have colons in identifiers, right?
Yeah, we have to make that a token, and it has a special meaning as well.
We also need to forbid colons in the names of predicates.
Yes. Yeah, so which one do you want to start with? I think we should start with the one on the left, to be honest.
Start with the one on the left.
Sounds easier. Like the one on the right, everything is new essentially. And we're gonna have to parse a bunch of stuff. And we have to decide the AST for that as well.
Hmm.
Well, we're gonna have to change the AST on both cases, but I think we're gonna have to change the AST less on the left case.
Actually, for the sake of our sanity, let's do this.
Why?
I don't think we have hyphens in identifiers either.
Isn't this a good opportunity to add them? Because signatures with spaces is very cringe.
I mean, we could, I guess.
Yeah, but that sounds okay. Okay, so which one you want to start with? The left or the right?
Hmm.
So you added a thing to show which signature is implementing that. Is that it?
Wait, you're asking about what?
Just look at the syntax on the right.
Yeah,
So
we
now,
introduced a new syntactical delimiter, and that made our lives way easier.
This. Because we want to be able to put, like, program fragments
Yeah,
here,
he
right?
wants to make it homoniconic, Magid.
Which isn't quite, but it could be
yeah, that's
sugar
not
into something.
homoiconicities still. I
No,
mean,
no,
at
no.
that point, why don't you just put the squared brackets then?
Because with the square brackets, the comma has a particular meaning that we can't just reuse it.
Oh, I see.
So the reason
Hmm.
that Magetta proposed a new delimiter is because then
Money.
we have the freedom to use symbols to resignify symbols that with brackets they have already meaning.
Mm,
And I like it. I think this is very clean.
I mean, is there any reason for a module not to be a relation as well?
what do you mean?
2 hours later, Magetta just drops the bomb. Folks, modules should be
No,
relations.
it's like try to think about it, right? So it's a relation of what? Symbols, although you have implementations.
We don't have higher order predicates, Mageta. That's the
Yes,
problem.
that's also
Yeah,
true.
so you would need to implement. Yeah. Uh,
Well, but if we did, that would make perfect sense, right?
It would be nice, but it would probably be ridiculously hard. Would it though?
hmm.
folks, let's not be like let's have patience, okay? Let's not just drop everything to make higher order predicates. That's gonna break a lot of shit. Let's just parse the thing. That's fine.
Would put something way more stupid than the curly braces. To be fair, I don't like it because it reminds me of JavaScript.
Do you prefer
That's literally
I
the
parentheses?
mean,
only.
you can put parentheses if you prefer.
It's even worse.
It's even worse.
Man, I
Yes.
think I prefer curly braces because it reminds me of blocks in C. So
What about a vertical bar? No, that's just worse.
no, we already have semantics for that.
For these?
Well, not well. Those are terrible. So no.
What, you mean like this?
No, no, no. Look at the chat, man.
Oh, that looks beautiful. It's like
I would
common
rather
Lisp
not do
comments.
that because yeah, that's common. That's common Lisp style comments.
I think the curly braces look better than the pipes. Marinho, your opinion.
Why
I
not
don't like.
just the words begin end at that point?
Oh, begin end. Try that, Marinho.
It's just about the looks now. That's it.
No, yeah, but this is our language. Fuck it.
That doesn't look bad to be honest.
I still prefer the curly braces. Marinho.
You know what's interesting on doing this? You
Hmm.
could you could do on the end. You could add end a,
What do you mean?
like end space a, or maybe with as a predicate. Oh, wait.
What you mean like XML?
Ah, no, I'm thinking like, can you add? Okay, put space a. Let's see that first, or b.
No,
Actually, no,
this is
yes.
A. This is A.
So that is okay. That is easy to see that you're ending the a block, right? But that doesn't look very right. So this would make more sense. But then it would, for it to be more consistent, you would have to change all the definitions inside to use comma, right?
I have
Inside.
another proposal. Marinho, could you remove the name module on line 3 and put begin in there? And remove the begin afterwards.
Uh,
But this
oh, but
doesn't tell me this is supposed to be a module. Is
oh,
the
but
problem?
here's the thing. Yeah, I was meaning this. So module trash
You
whatever.
see, Marinho, what's the problem? Magetta loves special syntax, man.
It's for there for a purpose, man. Syntax is to be used for a purpose. So I don't know, cons plus.
Just to make my take on it, I still prefer the curly braces instead of the begin and the end. Even if it reminds Magetta of JavaScript. Okay, let's look at what Magetta is.
What about these? Oh, the module is
That,
wrong, but you
yeah,
got the
but
idea.
that, no, but that will fuck us over because this is using the commas, but the commas will have different meaning than conjunction.
The problem is you're mixing commas and dots, Mageta.
Yeah, again, remember, he's trying to make it homoniconic.
Yeah, because here's the I'm trying to find a balance because of scopes, right? Because I was thinking the begin and the end can be something like this. Ignore the module for a second. Imagine if it's like this. Oops. Can't you tell that's like a same block?
Yes, but that still suffers from the problem that the commas mean a different thing.
I
Like
mean,
this
can't
is
you
the
parse
entire.
it differently if it's begin? You
Yeah, but now
could.
the parser needs to be not context free, right?
I mean, you could expand to the curly braces in that case.
You also can't have a predicate called begin anymore. Or end for that matter.
That is true.
Let's do the following. Let's do with the curly braces, Marinho, as we defined it before Magetta arrived. And then if you want to change the syntax later, that's fine. We already have a solid like semantics of what needs to happen. The syntax we can deal with it later. That's fine. So let's just go with the
Unless
curly
people
braces
start
just
building
to.
a database on it.
Yeah, but let's just keep it as this, just for the sake of having something that is unambiguous, and we can work on it. You are muted, Marinho, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
No, okay then. Okay, so let's start by which one you want to parse first, Marinho? Do you want to parse the main program or the modules? The module is gonna be everything basically from scratch almost.
Let's parse the main program first, because that's just changing functor syntax, basically.
Well, not really. We need to do something on the AST level about the namespaces before the columns. I think we need to remember them.
But they're already there, is the point.
What do you mean?
Like, we can just allow colons as part of a functor label, like as part of an atom, but without needing to quote it. We forbid the user from defining predicates that have colons in their name. And then if we have a predicate call with a colon, we know that's namespace, you see?
Oh, so you want to treat it like you don't want to make the separation between the module and the name of the predicate. You want to just use them as a combined name.
Yeah, I think that would be easier to deal with.
Okay, that puts the responsibility of creating those names when we do the. Yeah. Okay. In that case, go to the lexer and let's forbid the column in there. Well,
No, we need to forbid the colon in the preprocessor, actually, not here.
in here our identifiers are being used everywhere, so we don't have separate identifiers for each individual case.
We could make a separate identifier, but
But
oh, we already have hyphens actually. I forgot. Okay. Letter underscore hyphen digit, but also colon is allowed.
yeah, yeah. If you don't want to make the parser smarter, it's preprocessor job.
Mm, because like I don't want to forbid the user from having like um, arbitrary quoted labels, right?
Uh huh.
And I also don't want to force you to quote your label if you just decide to put a colon there for some reason. But we can't allow predicates with colons in their names because that will interfere with the module system, basically. That's the short version.
Yeah. Let's go to the preprocessor and forbid that.
Preprocessor.
And can you run the compiler? I think your LSP is fucked.
Yeah, no, I can. Just give me 1 second. Dune exec Karuta. Actually, we don't need that, right? We just do Dune build. Preprocessor? There we go.
Okay, so there is a function somewhere called that is doing a filter of this kind. Yeah.
It's this one.
No, it's the one on above, 91. Filter map.
No, this is removing comments. We don't
Exactly.
want to
We're
mess
gonna
with
do the
that.
same thing, but instead of checking for comments, it's checking for columns.
No, we actually want to have. You see, check empty head is the one that errors out if you try to define uh, predicates with an empty name, right? If
Oh,
I'm not
just make a
mistaken.
check column function. Copy paste the entire check empty heads, and we're just gonna do a. Fuck me. Okay, this will require using the string
No,
module.
no, no, no. We can just do this, okay? Check heads, right? And then we say, okay, we cannot have a query or declaration with an empty name, but also a declaration head equals namef
Oh, there is
underscore
a
underscore
contains. No, you can do a guard. You can do a guard there. When
when
string dot contains, and then it comes the string, so namef, and then the char. So
a
column.
char,
Yep.
not a.
Yeah, char.
Hmm. Okay.
And if that's true, we need to fail.
Cannot have a query or a declaration. Actually, we can have a query.
What do you mean?
You cannot have.
Are you gonna allow? No, but that doesn't make sense. If you're doing a query with the name of the thing with a column, there must be a predicate with the thing with a column.
No, you are calling a predicate from a module in the query. What's the problem?
No, but that's not a declaration. This is a declaration. This is top level. If you're calling something with a column inside the body of the query, that's fine. But that's
No.
not what we are checking here. We're checking specifically what comes before the brackets.
Before the brackets.
Yeah, so if you
I
have a
think we.
query, right?
No, 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 no. Okay, here's the thing. Um, okay, this is main. What's the problem of doing this? A cons A B question mark.
Ah, I see. So if your query is just calling a function from a separate module, that
Yeah.
is true, but that introduces a problem. On that check, I don't think we did do a separation between queries and declarations.
What do you mean? This is a parser clause, no? We separate these two things.
Ah, you're right. It would be a query conjunction if that was the case.
Yeah, this is wrong.
Yeah,
You cannot
exactly.
have a
This is also wrong.
declaration with an empty name. Um,
You cannot have a declaration with column in the name.
declare a predicate with an empty name, and you cannot declare a predicate with a colon in its name.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Let's try to run the main. Go to the main.ml and swap to the main.karuta in the program example.
That's gonna break because none of this is defined.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I want us to break. I just want to see if that's going to happen. Remove line 10, by the way.
Okay. Remove line 10. Dune exec.
No.
Oh,
Did you swap it? The main?
main.ml.
Examples, modules, slash main. We should break, but we should break all the way later.
Exception not found.
How
Yeah,
awesome.
we parsed. We managed to parse.
Okay, so go back to the program. Put a debug there. Before...
Debug.
I wanted in the tail call position, to be honest.
Why?
Because then we can see the... Well, actually it doesn't matter. Just run it. I just want to see the code anyway. Awesome.
Yeah, we're
Let's see
doing
the
this
names.
basically.
Awesome. Awesome. So it is doing what we were expecting. Okay. What's the next part? The next part is... Oh, this is kind of it, right? On this file. This is the most that we can do.
Yeah.
Okay. Oof. Okay, there is a problem now. Which is... Well, you can do a commit on this already. To be fair.
Okay, let me just format everything.
Oh, wait. We need to check that change down there. So go to the...
Oh. Yeah, we
delete
don't
the...
need this, right?
Yeah, delete this file. We need to change the... You added into the identifier the ability to put a column. We should test that somewhere. Go to one of the examples and put a column somewhere.
We just did though.
No, but it doesn't work. I want an example that is using that works.
No, but we can do something like, I don't know, ABC, D, I guess. And if we say that, actually, yeah, no, this is easier. Has colon. And therefore can poop. So if we do this, right?
Atom has colon.
Yeah, here.
Yep. Okay. So now you can do the commit.
Halt, dune fmt. Add this. Add this. Add this. Namespaces. Allow colons in identifiers, but not in predicate names. This is anticipating the module system.
Yeah. Okay,
Git
now we
push.
have 3 things that we gotta do. And we're probably gonna only do half of one of them right now because you're out of time. We have to allow the compiler to receive as multiple files as an argument. We don't do that right now. Second, create an
We
AST
don't
for
even
modules.
we don't even have a proper
CLI.
CLI. Yeah, like if it's just a matter of allowing multiple files at the compiler front end without the CLI, because we don't have that. That's easy. We just read the file,
Save it somewhere.
discard all of the declarations and queries, concatenate everything, basically, right?
Oh yeah, but that mandates step 2, which is to create an AST for modules.
Yeah, I think AST actually should be the step 1.
So let's do that. Let's at least try to start that in like 15 minutes or something.
Okay, parser clause. We have declarations, we have query conjunctions, and we also need to add now. Let's call them,
I'm
I
so
don't
proud of
know,
this project. We're implementing modules, man.
compiler directives of.
And modules in the way that most languages don't even have enough.
Yeah.
We
No,
have a functor.
no, but that's not gonna be a functor. We need to. We have extra stuff, right? Go put the buffer on the left, please, for us to look
We
at.
have a functor, and then we have list of parser clauses, right?
I don't recall anymore. Yeah, please format this. Yeah, can you put the buffer on the left? The buffer with the module.
Module.
Yeah. So let's see. A compiler directive has a functor, which is true,
With this,
and a list of parser clauses.
which is this. The curly braces, basically.
Okay. But what about the syntax? Oh, a compiler directive starts syntactically by having the arrow with no head.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. Okay, let's. Ooh, but that causes a problem. I think we should not have a list of parser. Ah, but then we cannot reuse the declarations. I see the problem. Yeah, we need to add more parser clauses. We need to add the signature parser clause and the module parser clause, right?
Why?
Well, because let's go over this list here. The cons. The cons is the declaration, so you already have it. That's perfect. What about the signature? The signature is going to be another another compiler directive because it starts syntactic with the arrow with no head. But
And the
then
compiler directive is a parser clause, Lemos.
no, yes, but then the signature. Oh, the signature is going to be the functor.
Mm-hmm.
I see. And an empty list. And then a module is a functor with a list. Yeah, no, this is perfect. But I think we should forbid signature and module names from in the preprocessor as well.
Why?
Because, well, I know what you're gonna say. It's not ambiguous because the modules and signatures special semantics depends on the empty arrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a problem. But I think it would be hella confusing to allow that in a normal program. Don't you think so?
Why?
Oh, and it's compiler directive. We're doing not plural names in there.
Oh, right, this is just one. That's correct.
Why? That's the question that you're giving me. Why?
Like if you say module, whatever, like there's no way that this is defining a language module because there's no this.
Okay, I think that's fair argument. Like I think I will be confused in the future, but that's okay. Makes complete sense. Okay, so this is it, no? Like this is surprisingly not hard to do. Now we need to just parse it. So okay, let's go to the token to the parser and introduce that notion.
Hmm.
Okay, so we need now a module clause in here.
Actually, before we do that, we need to update the lexer because we don't parse curly braces yet, do we?
No.
Curly
Are we gonna
brace.
name them like module left the limbs? Oh,
Um,
directive left the limb.
yeah, directive left, right the limb.
Okay. You
Mm,
need to export them on the top, maybe? No, you just need to import them in a parser. Makes sense.
now parser.
Wow, this was very unexpectedly not hard to do the AST. I was expecting way worse. Well, but I guess this is a benefit of trying to make it homoniconic, isn't it?
Yeah, you're trying to make the syntax as regular as possible, basically. This is not really like this thing is not quite properly homoiconic in
Well,
terms of
yes.
how we actually parse it. But you could, in principle, make it homoiconic at the
Yeah, we are trying
like
to
you could.
approach that idea. We're not trying to be like dogmatic about it.
Yeah, it's not strictly homoiconic the way we have defined it, but it could be. That's kind of the point.
Okay, so now let's parse it. So we need to change the program as well, right?
A program is either a declaration or a query, but now it can also be
A directive.
directive.
And now we need to make the directive clause. Let's go.
Okay, a directive is
It needs to start with the holds. Somewhere using the holds token. Search for holds in this file. There
Yeah,
you
it's
go.
here.
Yeah, so that holds. Then we need a functor, so a functor.
It's a functor lm actually,
Yeah,
right?
equal. Yeah, but then equals to functor. Semicolon. Then we need the exactly direct.
Optionally, yeah, this needs to be optional though, right?
Which part? Oh yes, this needs to be optional. How the fuck do we do that?
We can just do dot here, right?
Yes.
And then we say, in this case, we make an AST dot directive, compiler directive, where
That curly brace seems wrong. I think this should be parentheses because it's a tuple.
is a tuple,
The
yeah.
functor lm comes first and an empty list. There we go.
And then if
In the
it's
case
not
we
a
need
dot,
more things.
we can have instead directive left the limb followed by
Ooh.
a program. Um, is it a program
No,
though?
it's a list of programs, but it's a list, a non-separated list, a non-empty list, sorry. Separated non-empty list as we are doing down there. But the token that separates them is kind of confusing to me. We don't have a token that separates them, really. Oh, it's gonna be dot. Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
wait, a program? No, 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 no. A program is all of this, and it ends in an end of file, which is a problem for us because, yeah, we need the program
We cannot
fragment
depend on
inside
the
of
file anymore.
limiters. Yeah, to actually end on a directive write the limb is the thing. Let's
I
say
think we should change line 20 to instead of being program is a file, and then the file has the EOF, and the program has completely no notion of the EOF anymore. What do you think?
expression comments, blah blah blah. The problem is that there's no tail here if we get rid of the EOF. Like this list never ends if we don't do that.
Well, but that's not true, right? A program should either finish on a question mark or a dot or the directive write the limb.
Mm,
Well, actually not even. Only dot and question mark.
those are
Because
not program terminators though.
yeah, I understand they are terminators of the individual cases, but I'm trying to think if we should change like if we change it that's bad because that allows like wrong terminators for like if you have a well, but a query swapping the question mark for a
No,
dot
no, no.
is a declaration.
We need to do something like this, okay? Instead of an end of file, this is directive write the limb, and this is actually a program fragment. Program fragment, semicolon.
No,
And we
no,
name it.
no. This should be a non-empty list
Why?
because you can have more than one in this list, right? After the left of the limb, you can have many of them.
The program
Ah,
fragment is collecting it in a list already.
I see what you're doing. I see.
I'm not a big fan of this though because now we have these two definitions which are almost the same except for this thing.
Oh, but can't we just use the program fragment? No, we can't.
Can we parameterize a syntax clause somehow?
Let's look at the documentation. I have no idea. Okay, do you
We should
know?
be able to because there's this thing right from the main here.
Yeah. Is Magetta here?
Yep.
Magetta, do you know how can we parameterize a clause in main here?
Parameterize a clause.
Yeah,
You
so
mean like
look at the separated non-empty list example that Marinho is highlighting. You see that it takes arguments?
yes?
How can we do that for our custom clauses?
Oh, you mean your own rule,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, rules. Those are the correct names. My bad.
I think we did that somewhere. Let me see.
Oh, I find it. I found it. Look at the chat, Marinho. This is what they're talking about. It's I think on the
Okay.
second response or something.
Just put between quote parentheses.
Yeah.
No, we have not used that, by the way.
Yeah. No,
Mm,
we also haven't used that in Karuta.
oh, okay.
Well, don't they have GitHub examples demos? Okay. So this is the parser MLI. Oh, they do have examples. Okay, let me see if I can
Because
find an
I
example that
wanna,
does that.
yeah, because I wanna be able to do something like a program. Okay, a program fragment takes a terminator, and this is the terminator. Then a file is a program which ends on an end of file. And or rather, yeah, let's actually do this the other way around. A program takes a terminator, and a program fragment is a program that terminates on directive left the limb, basically. And these two go down here.
Does that
And
work?
these things all need to take the same terminator, right?
Yeah, but what you're doing actually works? Or you're just
I
like,
don't know.
well,
I'm
run it. Let's just run it.
Dune exec Karuta.
Okay. Line 39. So that's the file with the column. Error, syntax error after file or and before the column. So that's not. Oh, you forgot a semicolon on line 38
On line 38. So
and
we
on
need
line
one
39.
here as well.
Yeah. Okay, try that.
That still doesn't work.
Line 39.
Syntax error after
After
file and
file.
before colon.
So that's not how you do that. Yeah, maybe that's. And you're also missing a semicolon on the directive, by the way, line 48.
Still doesn't work.
Yeah, we need to find out how do you do this? How do you pass an argument? I'm really surprised that there are no example in the examples they don't have any use case for that. Any
Mm,
use case at all.
With example for what? Sorry, I just
I'm
caught up
looking at the
there.
demo zone main here
Mhm.
to try to see if there is an example of doing exactly this. And I'm not finding any. Yeah, maybe that's a solution, Marinho, maybe.
Need to fetch the parameter bound on the.
Oh, 51. Okay,
Yeah, and
that.
this is backwards now.
Yeah, this is backwards. Oh, this is not gonna work as well because of the types. Wait,
Hmm.
error. How is the symbol program parameterized? It is used at sorts. Oh, okay, so it's telling you that you're using it inconsistently, I guess.
Oh, it's because of this. This needs to be file here.
Okay, what's the problem now? The token directive by the limit is unused.
Because I put the wrong thing here. Right.
Okay. How is the symbol program parameterized? It is used at sorts this. Are these the kinds? Like what is it? What the fuck? The sort? Yeah, it's calling sort. So this is like a kind. It's not compatible with this other sort. So it's essentially saying that we are using it inconsistently. Hmm. That's weird. That's very weird. It's saying line 26. Ah, line 26. It's definitely wrong. Unbound value func. Oh, the order matters probably. So the directive needs to be below the functor. The functor. Go for it.
Nope.
Wait, what? Okay, so now something is very wrong. So holds.
Oh, I think I know actually. The problem is functor.
Ah,
This
yeah,
should
these should
be
be functor LMs.
functor
But there's
LMs.
another. Oh no, actually that's. Ah, there's no program. It's file. Damn. Okay, so apparently it does things. Swap the file. Go to the main.ml and put the modules file instead of the main now. It won't work because we don't have a query here, so fuck it. But just to see if we parse it.
Um, just for the sake of testing, main is debug,
Yeah, and this is not gonna work in the future, right? We already discussed this.
main question mark.
Yeah. But in the future, you can't have hanging without being in a module. In the future.
No, we can. It just will be discarded if it's not the application, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, when we add the notion of having an application file.
Paramatching failed.
Preprocessor. Wait. So this means that it worked. Awesome.
Match clause, remove comments. Oh, right, actually,
Because now we have a
because
compiler directive. Well, if it's a compiler directive, you just pass it along.
no, in fact. We have a
What?
compiler
No?
directive with
Ah!
head
Wait.
and a
Rename
body.
this function. This should be remove forbidden, not remove comments anymore.
No, this is remove comments actually.
Oh, if you have a comment within the compiler directive, that's what you mean?
Yeah. What? Don't you want to have comments in your module bodies?
Well, but do we care about the head in this case, though?
we need to pass it forward.
Okay, that's fair.
We need to do compiler directive with the head, but then the body we do list.map remove comments. Oh, actually it's not map. It needs to be concat map
Filter map then.
filter map.
Yeah, do you want to remove them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so filter map.
Filter map remove comments from the body.
What
And
is
why
wrong?
is the head?
Oh, it needs to return a sum. So this needs to return a maybe, an option.
Some like this.
There we go. Let's go. Line
Line
59.
59.
Man, I love you, compiler. Thank you. This is parser
Having
to
that.
compiler. This is changing a parser clause to a clause, essentially. So
Changing a parser clause to a clause.
yeah, this is what is doing the conjunction and the multi-declaration.
Yeah, this part actually. Now is where we actually begin implementing the semantics of modules, basically.
Well, I just want to be able to print them, and then we can finish for today. So let's just do a quick hack here, just to reach the debug on the evaluator.
We will only be able to print them at the very end, Lemos. That's kind of the issue. Because we need to implement compilation of modules in order to print the code that uses modules, you see?
Now, I wanted just to print the AST, not the generated bytecode, but well, that
If
makes complete sense.
you want to print the AST. Oh, that's easier actually. We can just
But you're right. I think that's like, oh, just put a print between the parser and the compiler, and you have it. That's not gonna be revealing anything for us. Okay, so but now let's at least start this discussion. So what are we gonna do in here in this function, parser to compiler? We have a declaration and a query conjunction. We now also have a compiler directive as an option here of the pattern matching, which is why it's breaking.
yeah, we have a compiler directive.
We need to put something on the clause AST. Let's go there.
Need to put something on the clause. Do we?
Yeah.
We kind of do actually.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the bulk of the preprocessor. This is what is translating to something that the compiler will use anyway.
Hmm.
Isn't it just
Okay,
a
so
compiler
there's.
directive, but instead of having a list of parser clauses, is a list of clauses?
I mean, we can do that, but then we punt the implementation down one level, basically.
Oh, but what is the correct level to handle this? I don't think it's the preprocessor, so I think we should just pass the baton.
Baton pass.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is not
directive
this is not preprocessor responsibility.
of func
Clause list.
clause list.
And then we just called that parse, that conversion recursively there, and we are done. So on line 60, yeah, can be that as well. So compiler directive. So you receive the head and the body, and then you create the directive out of this.
With the
The
same
head is the
head,
same, but you need to call this recursive. So this needs to be a recursive function now.
and actually this needs to be inside of a list because this can return more than one thing in some cases, but not this one. And then we do
List map,
list. Actually, this is concat map.
filter map, no, concat map,
Parser to compiler on the body.
and this needs to be a
But
recursive.
now,
Let
yeah,
run.
this needs to be a recursive function.
There's still something wrong. Um,
The head is a func, and
Maybe
we're
it's
just
just the
pass.
LSP going insane. Run the code. Ooh,
Yeah, now it's line 43 actually.
but this is the compiler.
In the compiler, yes.
What is that doing there? Ah, that is actually starting the pipeline. That's actually calling the code generator probably. Just confirm that.
Compiler 43.
43.
Yeah, this is the
Okay,
entry point.
just lint the code, do a commit, and we're done for today. I'm gonna finish the recording.